Welcome everyone. I'm Latvian Grandmaster Arturs Neiksans. I've been coaching Levy, also known as GothamChess, in the past several months, and I'm continuing doing the recaps of his tournament that he plays in New York City Round Robin Invitational closed tournament to give chances for title seeker players to get a GM norm. So far in the tournament, Levy has been clearly struggling. He could not find his pace. He had only half a point out of 6, and that's why in this game he was finally looking for ways to break the cycle. So Levy opted to start with c4, stick to his beloved English opening. We mainly expected e5. This is mainly what Liam Putnam, a young American talent, plays with the black color. Liam decided to play e6, and I kind of guessed that it might happen because it is really consistent with his opening repertoire. He really likes the Queen's Gambit declined, and also Levy has played this particular line already twice in the tournament, round 1 and round 3. So Levy plays g3. There's actually a very important nuance why g3. I'm going to explain it a bit later. d5, bishop g2. So with this move order, what White is trying to do, White is trying to avoid some positions of the classical Catalan. For example, if you play d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6, and one of the most popular lines here for White is g3. So Black has several choices here. First, he can take on c4. Try to hold on to the pawn with moves like b5, like a6, b5, like knight c6, rook b8. It's a pretty interesting line. The second continuation after g3 is to give a check on b4, and after bishop d2, use where to go. Either bishop d6 or bishop e7. In some lines, bishop d6 is actually a bit more challenging because then Black wants to play moves like c6, knight e4, and possibly the stonewall position. And there's some other setups as well. So that's why Levy is avoiding some of those lines. So after g3, d5, bishop g2, knight f6, and knight f3, now Black has to make a choice. So obviously, if you open some doors, you close other doors as well. So here Black has move like d4, Black has d-takes on c4. I think it's slightly passive move trying to play for a draw, or bishop e7. Even c6, knight e7, b6, bishop e7 probably is completely fine as well. So Putnam here played d-takes on c4. This check is necessary, queen c4, a6. And now what he's trying to do in this position, he tries to play b5 and solve the problem of this terrible light square bishop. Because let's say there would be moments when White plays, for example, something like castles, d5, here, takes and takes. Obviously, this is not very accurate, but in the long run, the position might seem very symmetrical. But let's say if White at some point plays knight e5, then Black has some problems to bring the bishop in the game because bishop d7 would jump under some rook d1s, and b5 sometimes you cannot do it because the rook n8 is under attack and it weakens the c6 square as well. So that's why here he tries to solve the problem, and this prompts Levy to play queen c2. So actually, if I go back a bit, there's a very important nuance that White has to start with g3 here and not knight f3. Because if White starts with knight f3 and then plays g3, for example, the same line, d takes queen a4, knight e7, queen c4, now Black gets to play a6. So the big difference is bishop g2. Now Black doesn't play knight f6 first, he plays b5, wherever you go, bishop b7, and he immediately equalizes the game. So that's why the move order here is really important. D takes, queen a4, a6. Here Levy played queen c2. There's two major choices, queen b3 and queen c2. Not a huge difference between them. So the big idea of queen c2 is that Levy says you cannot play b5, right? You're gonna run into a move like knight e4 here, hitting the rook on a8 with the bishop. Also knight c6 would trap the queen, so you cannot do that. Black play bishop d6, which is a bit odd move. I think the main move here is c5. Black has to fight a bit for the center. For example, c5, short castle, and there were some nuances. Sometimes Black plays rook b8, sometimes Black plays rook a7, b6, bishop b7. Sometimes Black plays bishop d6. For example, if you play rook b8, you need to watch out for d4 and bishop f4. And that's why I believe that Liam simply mixed up something and he played bishop d6 immediately, hinting at rook d8. Now Levy here decided to castle, and play b3. I think he simply should have played just d4 immediately. And now the point is that Black plays c5, just take it and have a very nice symmetrical position. Maybe he was kind of concerned about e5 because this could be one of the reasons why black has positioned the bishop on d6, but white is better developed, and after something like knight c3, opening up the position should probably favor white. So instead, what happened, Levy played b3, which is a nice simple idea. Fianchettoed the bishop on b2. Both bishops will be fianchettoed. C5, bishop b2, and queen e7. Yeah, I think this is a slight inaccuracy. And here Liam should have fixed the problem of the Lascaux bishop, the so-called Catalan bishop first. Play rook b8 or maybe rook a7. Perhaps even b5 is a move immediately, because now if you play knight e5 and hit the rook on a8, the typical resource here is knight e5, cover it up, and knight c6 gives nothing because black just laughs about it and plays queen b6. So it didn't happen, and here queen e7 was played. Now Levy used this opportunity, and he went back to the d4 idea. d4, rook b8, e4. This makes sense because he's trying to make progress while his opponent is attempting to finish the development. C takes, knight e4, and here rook d8. Yet another inaccuracy by Liam. I think he should have found a way to get rid of the knight. So if he plays, for example, e5, there's knight f5, and there's some massive problems with the queen and the bishop. For example, takes, and bishop a3. You're just losing something. So what he could have done, he could have understood that he needs to take away the square and play g6, which is very counterintuitive move because you are underdeveloped. But again, chess is a very concrete game. So he wants to play e5, get rid of the knight, and then play b5 and bishop b7. So here he played rook d8, Levy played knight e2, which was a very nice idea. He wants to play knight c4 and threaten to take on d6 and create some problems. Here for black, it was already pretty difficult to come up with the best move knight e5 because you can definitely sense it jumps under f4, and it is very difficult to validate the consequences. If the knight goes away, there's e5. So there's some computer lines like bishop c5, f takes on e5, now the second piece is under attack, rook takes on d4, right? King h1, now everything is under attack, knight g4, takes, rook c1, threatening with queen c8, bishop d7, and somehow black has a full compensation. It's a pretty difficult line, if you ask me. It requires quite a bit of imagination, and that's why Liam did not go there. He played knight f8, allowing Levy to play knight f3. Now, initially when I saw this move, I was not happy because I had a feeling this is déjà vu from some of his games from Spielberg Open Tournament earlier this August, when he was retreating from the center, especially with a knight for no good reason. But actually here, this is a very nice move. Specifically here, again, chess is a very concrete game because he's threatening e5. And if black plays e5, blocking this pawn, now Levy can play knight c4, hitting the bishop and the pawn, and after knight g6, black just loses, because rook d6 is bishop a3, thank you for the exchange, and after queen d6, rook d1, take on d8, collect the pawn on e5, two bishops, extra pawn on e4, white is easily winning. So that's why here bishop c5 was played, and here I think Levy showed, unfortunately, that he doesn't really know the Sicilian and Lappin ideas. I think this is something we have to work with him. So here the correct move was e5, knight e5, and knight e4. The position basically transposes to some of the Lappin positions. The knight on e4 stands nicely, controls many critical squares. White is thinking about h4, knight g5, h5, h6 ideas, and simply enjoys a solid space advantage. So Levy played this move bishop e5, which I thought it's pretty weird because the bishop now blocks the pawn. Rook a8 was played, rook c1. Now, as you can see, white's advantage is almost gone. Here b6 was played, knight c4 was played, and here Liam lost his sense of danger. He played bishop b7 because finally he gets to finish his development. What he missed was a beautiful shot b4, which was pretty quickly found by Levy, and I was very happy to see that finally in this game he was having a proper time management. Now the correct move for black was to play a5, deal with b4, and then decide what to do with the bishop. Bishop b7 or bishop a6 would simply equal game. Now after bishop b7 and b4, there's a couple of critical lines. If the bishop goes away, white charges in and takes the pawn on b6. And the key moment, which was maybe missed by Liam, is that white doesn't have to protect the pawn on e4, because bishop takes on e4, this intermezzo check is very important. So black simply loses material. Queen f6 is queen e4, thank you for the piece. and something like queen b7, just queen b2. Everything is starting to fall apart. No matter how you calculate, black is losing something. And that's why here black had no choice. He had to take it. Knight b6, rook a7. I mean, yeah, engine gives this intermezzo move bishop a3 for some reason and only then play rook a7. This is not human. So I do not think that Liam had any chance to pick this up. Any human being would play rook a7 because bishop takes on e4 still remains a threat. And now here Levy picked up probably the strongest move of the entire tournament so far. He played queen b3. It's a very deep move. So he's actually threatening with rook c7, hitting the queen and pinning the bishop and the rook. But black is basically in a zugzwang. He has nothing to do. For example, bishop takes on e4. Now it's actually a fork on c8. You know, it's quite amazing. And also, knight e4. White simply charges in with rook c7, knight e7, and just take it. Rook d7, take it. Collect the piece on b4. As you see, black pieces are overloaded. So that's why here, black play bishop c5. Levy very quickly picked up knight a4, the correct move. Again, the position basically plays out itself. Here, Liam had no choice but to take on e4 because, again, the bishop is attacked, and rook c7 is an incoming threat. So if knight e7, simply knight c5 and queen b6. Knight e4 had to be played. Takes queen b6, a double attack. And here, there was a crazy line. So black has no choice. He took on f3, bishop f3. And during the broadcast, we also were joined by Hikaru Nakamura, and he said, actually, there's a crazy line in this line. Black would play knight e3. Which looks pretty insane because it seems that white is simply winning with bishop e7, hitting the rook. And now the key resource is rook d7, queen a7, knight c1, rook c1, and queen a3 out of the blue. I mean, it's such a difficult move to spot. Two pieces for white are under attack. So it seems that white is still winning rook d3. Now black seems to be doing okay. Queen e1, rook f3, and the only move, bishop a5. White wins because bishop b4 and rook c8. So what happened is Liam played f6. Probably not seeing this line. And Levy played instantly bishop f4 because he thought he's easily winning. But now the craziness is that this line works. Knight e3, bishop c7, rook d7, takes, queen a3. Sorry, I'm losing voice. It's been a very long week. Rook d3, queen e1, take it. And now the thing is, after f6, black no longer loses after a very difficult move, queen a2, bishop b4, and king f7. No, wait, not king f7. I think it was knight e7. And black is up 2 pawns, and white needs to show something. It's absolutely insane. So, yeah, here Liam played knight a4, which was visually ugly move. And now the knight is probably lost in many lines. He did not pick up this line. So, yeah, had he played knight e3, he would have had very good chance to save the game. So here, Levy played queen a5. Levy played bishop c7, threatening to win the rook on a7. So rook c8, bishop d6 was a very nice move here. As you see, queen d6 is rook c8, so the position just collapses for black immediately. Queen d8, again, a nice shot. Queen a5, it's just a mate on the board. And here, black finally loses material. And the black immediately collapsed. Black played queen d7, and after queen b8, the too many threats. And black resigned. So that's it. Levy finally scores an important victory. A very powerful game, a true Grandmaster level game to climb back, win back some tournaments, win back some rating points in this tournament, regain some of the lost confidence, and 2 more games remain to finish this disastrous tournament. But I mean, still very important lessons were learned in this tournament. So that's it. If you like the video, please press like, and if you're enjoying my content and recaps of Levy's games, please subscribe to the channel. It's going to allow me to produce more content. Thank you for considering this, and see you later today with round 8.